Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric series Big Decomp Energy, where I take a look at some of the developments in the decompilation, recompilation, and PC port scene. Recently we did a video on Animal Crossing being 100% decompiled, and two games that are getting very close to that status that we're going to be talking about today is Pikmin 1 and 2 on the original GameCube. Because honestly, the most decompilation projects right now, as well as recomps and PC ports, seem to be targeting the Nintendo 64, but there is an active community decompiling different GameCube games, and I know when I talked about Animal Crossing, I asked what games you wanted to see end up getting decompiled, and there were a ton of comments for the original Pikmin games, and that makes me very happy. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But I still remember the first time I played Pikmin all the way back on GameCube when it was new. I wasn't quite sure what it was. I saw it on the store shelves because I really hadn't been paying too much attention to game previews, and I just said the hell with it, I feel like playing a new game, let me pick it up and see what it's all about. And I ended up absolutely falling in love with it, and I played every single Pikmin game since. They're definitely unique games. They have a very particular audience. You either probably love them or hate them, but it is some of the most innovative stuff Nintendo's done in my opinion. And it is one of those things, the original Pikmin as well as Pikmin 2, even though they have kind of gotten ported to more modern consoles, can still feel a little bit antiquated. And the big thing about these decompilation projects is they open up the door for modders to go in and not just bring them to new platforms, but also to bring quality of life improvements. We're not just talking about stuff like 16:9 support and a higher frame rate. We're talking about stuff like maybe a completely free camera, because in the original Pikmin and even Pikmin 2, I do find that the camera sometimes can just absolutely fight you on what you're trying to see. Additionally, they can lift some of the restrictions within the game design and basically mod it to whatever they want it to be. Imagine an original Pikmin with a completely new Pikmin with different skills, changing up the gameplay, or even adding in new worlds would be absolutely awesome. So if you take a look at the status of the original Pikmin decompilation right now, you will see that 4 hours ago, as of the recording and capture of this video, there was another commit to the overall GitHub. That means this is obviously in very active development, and even though I don't know this for sure, I feel like the next game that will hit 100% decompilation status is going to be the original Pikmin. But if we take a look at the decomp page here on GitHub, you will see that it's targeting the USA Revision 1 disks right now. The Japanese and PAL territory disks as well as USA Rev 0 aren't currently supported, but I would highly anticipate once this project gets buttoned up to 100% status, you may see the developers go in and work on those disks, because there are going to be a small amount of changes in different regions, and it would be great to have them all decompiled so you could basically do whatever you wanted with the code across all of the different games. Now, a note about this process in general, people always leave comments saying how long until Nintendo shuts this down. Now, of course, Nintendo is Nintendo, and they have a metric crap ton of money, so they might actually try to do something they wouldn't really be permitted to do. But these decompilation status are basically white room, clean room reverse engineering, which means it is 100% completely legal and permissible. You can decompile something, you can reverse engineer it, so long as you do it without any knowledge that would be considered protected from Nintendo. So I don't expect these things ever to be shut down. Nintendo would obviously have a very big fight on their hands. The only way they'd really win is if they could just outspend somebody else. But if we take a look at the Pikmin decompilation status, you're going to see it's 98.89% decompiled. And that means obviously there's only a little bit over 1% to go until this thing hits that 100% decomp status. And if you go around the heat map, you'll see different areas of the game, basically different components. You'll see spider leg there, the snake's artificial intelligence, probably all its pathfinding, its struggle state. This is basically just everything that makes up what Pikmin is, and if it has a bright green block, it's going to be 100% decompiled, which is something I showed you in the previous video on Animal Crossing, and if you missed that, I will leave a link in the description below if I remember, but I'd say 9 times out of 10 I do not. This is the first project that we've talked about that hit 100% decompilation status on GameCube, and we went over that entire heat map to show you exactly what that means. But basically, when you think of a decompilation, think of all of the assets, all of the code that Nintendo would have had before they compiled the game for the actual GameCube disc. That's basically in essence what these decompilation projects are doing. They're working backwards to get back to those assets that we can then mod or port. But it's soundtrack sample time, because I absolutely love the soundtrack of Pikmin. It is so fun and subdued, and I can't wait to hear one day it potentially being ported. So go ahead and listen for 45 seconds, and I'll be right back to talk about Pikmin 2. Just an absolutely charming soundtrack and so Nintendo-like. But now moving over to Pikmin 2, I would say, and I feel like most people would agree with me in the comments, this is by far the better of the two Pikmin games on GameCube. Obviously we get both Olimar and Louie here, a fun addition, but this one had a lot of the restrictions removed from the original game and just has some quality of life improvements from the developers at Nintendo that just make it a slightly easier game to play, not in the difficulty factor, but just in the enjoyment factor, which really makes me think that once these games hit decomp status of 100% each, some of the things in the GameCube version of Pikmin 2 could actually be brought over to the original Pikmin, at least in concept, and I do think that would definitely make the original Pikmin be a little bit more fresh and feel a little bit more friendly to you, because that's the type of thing that these projects end up doing. It's not just that you can end up playing this on your PC in higher resolution and getting maybe 16:9 support that's a little bit more well done. It also involves mods, quality of life improvements, free cameras, and all the things that make in a game that is as old as Pikmin, and trust me, it is old now, feel way more like a modern release, because on the concept of what Pikmin is, absolutely outstanding, but Pikmin 2 just ends up feeling that much better to play in my opinion. But leave me a comment down below and you tell me how you feel, Pikmin 1 or Pikmin 2 the better game on GameCube. If we take a look at the Pikmin 2 decomp page on GitHub, you're going to see this has been updated as of yesterday of my capture. You'll probably watch this video later on towards the weekend, so like a week or so depending on when I show it to you, but we have the exact same situation as we do with the original Pikmin, a ton of commits, a ton of active development. But leave me a comment down below and you tell me, what would you love to see out of a port or static recompilation of Pikmin 2 as far as features are concerned? And again, I can't stress enough, just so everyone is clear, just because that the original Pikmin's at 98% doesn't mean it might not take 6 months or a year to get that last percentage point out there. These developers obviously have lives, they probably have jobs, they only have a finite amount of time to dedicate to these things, and of course sometimes that last 1% can take every bit as long as the preceding 15, 20, 25, or even 50% before it, because sometimes when you're trying to just get over that hump and complete a project, that is when it takes the longest amount of time. Now if we go over the Pikmin 2 decompilation percentage status, you're going to see it's 84.55% decompiled, so missing about 14% compared to the original Pikmin. If we take a look at the decompilation heat map here, you're going to see some darker squares. That means that component, whatever it is, has not been 100% decompiled. You're going to see here some of the emitters and that heap, they are not decompiled yet, but you'll see here in the green, it's basically getting 100% close to being completed. So I know these heat maps can be a little bit hard to read, and honestly a lot of people don't need to go through them whatsoever. It just is a very fun visual way to kind of explain to you what these percentages of decompilation statuses mean. Every single component in a game, every bit of code, every bit of enemy AI, all over the graphics, even how the menu system works, everything has to be decompiled, and they all are separate segments, including the sound that has to be decompiled as well. And that's a pretty cheap segue into the second soundtrack sample of this video. 35 seconds, I'll be right back to talk about more decompilation on GameCube. Super fun soundtrack, and I love the soundscapes as well. It really does feel like you're running around a very cold, barren wasteland over snow. Now, it seems like both of these projects are probably going to be completed in 2025, but honestly, we'll just have to wait and see. And when the next Pikmin game hits 100% decomp status, I will definitely update the video. But I want to stress again, and let me explain this statement before you write a comment, decompilation projects, even at 100%, are completely useless until somebody else comes along and uses that code for static recompilations or ports. I am not saying that these projects are useless. In theory, they're absolutely amazing. All I'm saying is decompiled code does nothing but basically recompile itself to the exact platform it came from, in this instance GameCube. You have to wait for people to grab that code, make ports, make improvements, make modifications, and do all the fun things with it. But obviously with basically every other decomp we've seen so far, people out there absolutely love porting these things to new platforms and making them even better, whether it's Nintendo 64, whether it's Xbox 360, or now GameCube. Leave me a comment down below and let me know, if you could snap your fingers and make one game just show up as a PC port tomorrow from GameCube, what would it be? But I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.